So we now start. Dr. Sania Nishtar is, as I mentioned, the current Special Assistant on Poverty Alleviation and Social Safety to the Prime Minister with the status of Federal Minister and BIS Chairperson. She has served before also in the interim Federal Cabinet in 2013, overseeing public health, education, and science. She's a physician, a cardiologist, author, activist, researcher, person who believes in evidence to make targeted decisions. She has co-chaired the WHO's High-Level Commission on Non-Communicable Diseases, along with the presidents of Uruguay, Finland, and Sri Lanka. She's a member of the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council on the Future of Healthcare and co-chairs the US National Academy of Sciences Global Study on the quality of healthcare in low and middle income countries. She is a much awarded leader when it comes to social protection and public health. She also chairs the United Nations International Institute for Global Health's International Advisory Board and is the member of the International Advisory Board on Global Health of the German federal government. My goodness. But what I think is amazing about Dr. Sania Nishtar from day one in the sessions that I've attended, her focus on a holistic approach to social protection, on looking at almost a lifelong spectrum to provide support and protection to girls and women from when they are conceived all the way up, and of course to boys and men as well. And her insistence on coherence in public policy when it comes to new products and ideas so that they are not just pilots, but they are scaled up. I think in her address of 7 to 8 minutes, she will set the tone for this meeting. And that's how we are looking at our leaders today in public policy, in public sector and private sector in industry to show what can be done when it comes to gender equality and how we can really walk the talk, and not in the future, but what we are doing now. So with that, can we have Dr. Sania Nishtar's address now? Dr. Sania Nishtar.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I'm sorry I can't be with you today because of certain pressing commitments, but I was really honored and pleased and privileged to receive this invitation from Idara Talim o Agahi to attend their International Women Day event. The civil society organizations play a very important role in many social sector spheres, and I'm aware of the very important work that Idara Talim o Agahi does, specifically with regard to the access to education programs for girls, which is so very important for socio-economic development, for overall national development of a country. Just a little bit about the ESAS program and how we're trying to push the needle on gender equity and gender equality. When we conceptualized ESAS as an umbrella social protection program, we made this conscious decision, this very conscious and concrete decision that 50% plus of all benefits under all ESAS programs, under all policies, are going to be for women and girls. And I want to mention girls in particular because we usually tend to forget that in the gender equality equation. So our 50% plus benefits policy for women and girls under ESAS essentially is applicable to all programs, is applicable to all policies. ESAS Kafalat, through which we give stipends and bank accounts to women, is 100% for women. ESAS undergraduate scholarship is 50% for women. ESAS cash for work or Bila Sud Karza is 50% for women. ESAS Amdan, our program for asset transfers to very impoverished families, is 60% for women. Our emergency cash initiative, which you saw playing out during COVID, is heavily skewed towards women. 54% of the payments were made to women during ESAS emergency cash. And our work around conditional cash transfers on health and nutrition are heavily skewed towards empowerment of girls. For instance, Wasila Talim program, which has been running for a very long time and which we upscaled in the last 2 years from 50 to all 154 districts of the country. In that particular program, we changed the stipend policy for girls. So the stipend for the girl child is much higher than the stipend for the boy child. Similarly, when we launched a new the health and nutrition conditional cash transfer program, we took a similar approach. So the cash transfer for the girl child is much higher than the cash transfer for the boy child. And I really see these policies playing out in the field. When I go to our Ehsaas Nasho Numa centers, I see women from very disadvantaged backgrounds bringing their girl child to our centers, enrolling the girl child in the former FATA areas, in Balochistan, in very far-flung areas, in very disadvantaged areas, where women sometimes don't even count their girls. So I was a physician, worked in for many years in Peshawar, where the catchment area was all of former FATA, and it was a standard practice when women used to come, and as a physician I used to ask them, how many children do you have, and they would say 4, and it would be a given that they're referring to boys, not the girls. So the girls never even were counted. And in that environment, we took a policy that we are going to incentivize girls' education, girls' primary education. We are going to incentivize the nourishment of girls, and hence we will give a bigger stipend for girls. We took that policy decision, we got it approved through the appropriate fora, we've cascaded it into implementation, and it is actually working on ground. I'm also very pleased to let you know that about 2 weeks ago, our board approved a policy of giving graduation stipends to girls who complete primary education under the Ehsaas framework. This policy is going to now cascade into implementation very soon, and my next frontier is to extend the Wasila Talim program for secondary education, and we'll very soon be taking the appropriate steps to get this policy approved. Also under the Ehsaas framework, there are many other empowering programs for women, recognizing the work of rural women in the agriculture sector, whose work was for decades seen as an extension of domestic responsibilities, recognizing the work of women who work as domestic servants in the urban sector. We are also working on a street hawkers initiative, where we have every intention of giving women equal opportunity. And along these different social protection centered programs, there is also a deeper realization within Ehsaas that diversity in the workplace and an equal opportunity to women in the workspace is absolutely fundamental. So we're trying to take all possible steps to push the needle on this through a variety of different ways. Once again, I'm sorry for not being able to join you here in person, but I wish you a very successful meeting, and I look forward to its deliberations and to the opportunity of collaborating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it deserves a real clapping. And I wanted to just share with you that Michael Barber recently said to us about Sania Nishtar that she today speaks not the politics of patronage, but politics of performance. And I think that performance at scale is where she's thinking about the length and breadth of this country, and where all of you as leaders are looking at scale to be able to transform options. And if you just look at that, which is lifelong, from the Ehsaas Nasho Numa program and all the way to the Wasila Talim, the stipends at the graduation at primary, the new secondary programs that we really lobbied for last year when our first cohort of girls for the second chance program at secondary were graduating, and she promised she will do something. And then on to the undergrad scholarships programs, which are going to be 67,000 this year and fast. And as she mentioned, for every program, the issue of it's not gender equality, but trying to be skewed more and more towards girls and women, knowing that they are multipliers for the family. Now, this is a kind of an ambition and a vision that we all think that public sector programs need to run. And honestly, if you try and go to the ESAS and the BIS website, I think she's coming up with a program almost every 2 weeks, but so well thought through, embedded in evidence, and being able to think contemporary aspects so that every program today that is being run in social protection and ESAS and BIS is all being done through technology. Every number arrives on the telephone. So there is a necessity to be able to be technology savvy. She's looking at ways to be able to give income, just emergency and kafalat, but also resources to start an enterprise. And that's a great segue for me to introduce Jahanara, because wow. Janara, you are such an inspiration to so many and multi-generations. With little children, they think that, you are their hero. And with me, I think you are my hero. So again, Jahanara is the president of the Pakistan Software Houses Association for IT, PASHA. And she is heading and the founder of Nest.io. She has been spearheading Pasha for the past 16 years and creating linkages between Pasha and local and international partners. She has worked and has massive experience in marketing, communications, and interactive new media in Hong Kong, the Far East, the UAE, and Pakistan. That's where I met Jahanara the first time in Hong Kong. And she sits on the advisory boards of the Central Depository Company, the Punjab IT Board, the Sindh Advisory Body, and several universities, including Habib, IBA Sakkar, IBA, NED University, Bahria, etc. She is the president of Bolobhi, a research-based civil society organization that focuses on open access. Jahan is also on the World Bank Advisory Group on Gender Diversity. When she set up Nest.io, a technology incubator, accelerator, and community innovation space in January 2015, with the support of Google for Entrepreneurs to help provide a platform for aspiring technology business in the buzzing city of Karachi. It's been incredible the way Nest.io has attracted women, young and middle-aged, and my God, girls and so on. But that work has been so inspiring and has incubated more than 200 startup businesses. And I think they also multiply by the day and or minute, and created a strong community of young people. And recently she was saying, and I want to really start with that notion where Janara said, all women are warriors. Somebody said, some are warriors. And she said, no, all are warriors. And we definitely need many more women leaders on board the way she started. And Janara, I wanted to start with a couple of questions because there's so many we can ask you. But, we think, and you have probably always thought, that technology is a great equalizer. I know in COVID, we've been talking about the great IT divide, the inequity because of technology. But really, I would really like to hear your views on how technology has been the equalizer when it comes to gender equality. And how do you see in your role? Would love to hear some data on, in your experiences, of how many women entrepreneurs, I know you don't make any distinction, but how many women entrepreneurs in this period of your active work that you've done, this pioneering work in Pakistan, you have curated almost, not just nested, but curated, and how you have allowed many doors to open, not just to believing in themselves and innovations, but also into the financial world of having access to finance. We'll start with that and let's see how it goes, but really would love to hear this new spin on gender equality in the business of industry and technology that you're in.
Thank you very much, Bela. It's an honor to be on a panel with such awesome women, and I feel really humbled. And following on from Dr. Sania Nishtar is a great privilege. In answer to your question, when I moved back to Pakistan, which was in the mid-90s, and I started a technology company with a couple of friends, which included Sabine Mahmood and Zahir Kidwai. I found that when I joined Pasha, which was an organization that already existed and represented the technology sector, I was the only woman there. I was the only woman CEO who was part of Pasha, and all the decisions that were being made for the IT industry were being made by men. And in addition to that, whenever I went into any event, any discourse, I was in a room full of men with no women participation. And that upset me greatly because I knew many women who were greatly accomplished, who were talented, and could make a greater impact than many of the men I knew. So I have nothing against men. There are some very talented men in this country, many colleagues that I work with. But I felt that the inequity of women in technology was something that needed to be addressed. And since then, I've been working very hard. And although we're still not there, there are 15% women in the technology sector in Pakistan. But unfortunately, that is also the case globally. The percentage of women in tech globally is no more than 15-20%. So all of us really need to work hard to bring women forward. And when I hear somebody say that, women don't qualify or are not right for tech, I think that is so ridiculous. When I started the Nest.io, which is a technology incubator and accelerator here in Karachi, the first cohort of entrepreneurs who joined the Nest, there was only one woman founder. And I was really very disappointed because I said, I've opened up this space, which is a safe space, and how come women are not coming forward? Are there not enough women entrepreneurs in this country? What is it that is keeping them away? So I went out, I went to universities, I went to colleges, I went to events, and I said, where are the women? Where are the women? There were women who had home-based businesses. There were women who wanted to scale those businesses. So where were they? And I was told by many young women that nobody told us that we could start a business or grow a business. This is something that nobody has ever told us that we could do. So then I said, well, you can. So why don't you come join our next cohort? And then the numbers started to increase, Bela. And by our fourth or fifth cohort, we had 50% women entrepreneurs. So sometimes all it takes is for you to reach out and say, hey, we're here. We're a safe space for women. And initially, women used to come, they were young women and mostly single, and they used to come in with brothers, fathers, just to check out the space to see whether it was in fact a safe space for the girls. But after that, the confidence in people increased, and now a lot of women join our programs. Some join full-time, some come in for specific events. And I saw that the number of women who came and the kind of work they did. So I find that women only start technology businesses if they feel that they're going to make some kind of impact. So they don't use technology for the sake of using technology. They want to use technology to benefit others as well as themselves, of course. So if they start a business, they want to scale it. They want to generate revenue. But mostly you will see women who use technology for education. They use technology to connect people to healthcare. They use technology for special needs, to help children, especially who have special needs issues. Yes, they also use it for empowering other women. And so, when you look at that trend, you see that women do use technology, they enjoy technology, and they are able to use it to benefit others. So I don't buy this philosophy of people who say women are not part of the tech sector and should not be, and technology was never built for them. One story that I wanted to share with you was that a young man that I know, who is a computer scientist, educated young man, said to me that he did not allow his sister to have a laptop because she would misuse it. She would have access to content that would make her unsafe. I really lost it. I'm afraid I'm otherwise quite a patient person. But when he said that, I lashed out at him and I said, "Excuse me, what gives you the right to not let her have access to knowledge that exists on the internet? What gives you the right to not let her have the opportunity to use technology for whatever purpose she wants? If you really care about her, which I'm sure you do, perhaps you should be helping her and guiding her by telling her what spaces are unsafe, what are the things she should be aware of, instead of just denying her access." So I think, these are things, sometimes the intent is not wrong, but the way that intent is carried out is unfortunately something that keeps women from accessing technology, accessing knowledge, accessing different opportunities that should otherwise be available to them. So I'll stop here, and if you have any other questions.
Yes. My second question to you, I've got three. And maybe one of these things is that I would like to see the link between the way that you are generating enterprise, particularly amongst women, but also the way you are leveraging or multiplying the links with industry and also with the financial world. What kind of financing have you mobilized or linkages to industry? And please share some of your great success stories. I mean, atoms, I can't forget every day. I think I dream about it. But I think that's very important for people to see. It's not that you're pioneering work in just tech and women in tech and enterprise, but also the kind of industry multiplication that you are bringing to Pakistan at scale, and also the financing through different and very innovative financing investments in great enterprise ideas that you're generating. I think people need to know how that is leading to gender equality, just as your responses to when boys or men are saying that my girl, no laptops for sisters or women, etc., which I hope you're leaving far behind.
So, Bela, the Atoms is not a venture that came out of the nest. Sidra and Vakas are from Okara, and they started the venture. We were able to assist them through a grant that Google gave, a small grant, which got them started. But whatever they have achieved now is due to their entirely due to their own efforts, due to their own talents. And I'm a great admirer of theirs, but cannot claim any credit for what they've been able to achieve. However, the startups that did come to the nest, several things that we need to do when we have these young women come into the nest, and some of them have been older women who didn't think they could join our program because some of them had young children. They couldn't leave them at home. They didn't want to join a full-time program because they would then not be able to take care of home and as well as their community responsibilities. So we made it possible for them to bring infants into the nest. We also made sure that we worked with them to make sure there was flexible hours so that they could attend the more important sessions, and then keep in touch with us via the internet, via phones, to make sure that they were not left behind. Now, one of the things that we do at the Nest, of course, is once we have been able to teach them what they need to know in terms of business acumen, in terms of validating any business idea they have, um, we make sure that we connect them with mentors. So if there is a woman or a young man working in the space of education, they need to talk to somebody who's an expert in education. I am not, and neither are the people on my team. So we make sure that we connect them to mentors who do know and understand that domain and are able to guide them, so that when they are setting up businesses, they're not doing it in isolation without realizing what the market need is. And in addition to connecting them to mentors, we also then bring in investors who, if they like the idea and they think it can go somewhere, then start investing in these ideas. So far, 37% of the ventures that have been started at the Nest have received investment of some kind. Unfortunately, not all of them receive investment. And so what we teach them is, look, just bootstrap, try and sign up as many customers as you can and use that money to then scale up the business. That's all you can do. Unfortunately, we don't have enough investors who think that investing in young people or in entrepreneurs is important. And especially for women who are not looking to, many of them are not really looking to get an exit or list on the stock exchange. What they're looking to do is create social impact, generate revenue, create jobs. And that kind of woman business person is not something that people are very keen to invest in. So we are looking for new options for them. And we've also been talking to the state bank. So the new program that the state bank has started, called Banking on Equality, I think is an amazing program that the governor and Ms. Seema Kamil have both been pushing. And that means that if I walk into a bank branch, I am considered a customer. Otherwise, usually, most banks do not treat women as customers. They don't show them the same respect that they show to a man who walks in and claims to be a customer. So I think this is something new that they are championing. They're making sure there are women champions in the banks, and that will help women entrepreneurs get to the next level.
Thank you, Janara. And as you know, Seema Kamil was invited. There was a clash. And as you know, that even banking on equality is something that Dr. Sania Nishtar is also working on, maybe together. Again, the issue of scale is wonderful. One short question and one short answer from you. Suppose we were to take your entire package, the formula of finding young champions as entrepreneurs, innovators, and then creating those linkages. Suppose we were to start for grade 9 to 12 in schools and colleges. Do you think you would have appetite, and maybe we can find a few colleges and schools to start off with? Because I think that's what our adolescents are thirsty for. It needs to start much earlier. Would there be any appetite? Would we be able to find a funder who can do this together as a joint venture? Because we're already running a program called Siani Seheliyan, where we see a tremendous appetite. We have got Circle, Sadaf working, etc. And we think, my God, it can be wonderful. Do you think you would have appetite for that, Nest.io?
We would certainly want to. We have been working with Beacon House. We've worked with other schools and run programs on entrepreneurship for young people. And it's amazing what these young people, the ideas they come up with, and the kind of project that they want to work on. But yes, funding is something that we will have to look for to support these kind of efforts. With Beacon House, that was not a problem. We ran some programs for free, but some programs Beacon House paid my team to actually run a more comprehensive program. We've done this with a couple of other school systems. I think it is the place to start. We should not wait until they graduate from university before we start seeding the elements of entrepreneurship into young men and women.
Thank you so much, Jana.